Hey, Sean, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. After the game yesterday, you mentioned going back to look at second half performance, particularly over the last 3 weeks since the bye week, offensively in particular, but probably for both sides of the ball as well. Given some opportunity now to maybe do some of that, is there anything that you can identify in the second half that is changing from the first half and causing some of the problems?
Yeah, Jay, I'm actually, ironically enough, right in the middle of that project. So I don't have, full conclusions on it. But what I can tell you is, really turnovers have played a big part in that. Turnovers in our red zone have played a big part in that. And then, some run defense, and then just some style of offense as well in terms of different looks, different complexions of the offense, so to speak.
Okay. Can you give us just a general sense of where you are with injuries? One player I wanted to ask about in particular is Tre'Davious. Is he dealing with anything physically right now that's keeping him off the field, or is his absence maybe more so as much mental as it is physical at this point?
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from on that, Jay. I'm not going to get into physical versus mental. He's just not in a position where he's ready, and we're going to continue to take it one day at a time.
Okay, and then if you could maybe just give us a rundown from yesterday. I know Tremaine left the game and was unable to return. What else do you know coming out of yesterday's game?
Yeah, what I have for you guys. So I'll start with Jake. Jake Kumro's week to week with an ankle. Tremaine tweaked his groin. We'll see how he does later this week. And then improving the guys you already know about, Greg Rousseau, Jordan Poyer, and Kyer, all improving to this point.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Sean.
Good afternoon.
Tell us about the decision. I know you might have addressed it yesterday, but the 4th and 2, you're up 10. Why not take the 3 there, go up, make them score 2 touchdowns, and your defense to that point hadn't been playing too poorly. What was the decision, and why did you decide to do what you did?
Yeah, Sal, just felt like, this is a team that had multiple comebacks in the second half of games, and felt it was an opportunity for us to put our foot on their throat a little bit. And obviously it didn't work out. So when you go back and look at it, you say, hey, sometimes going up 13, 2 touchdowns beats you at the same time. So it's one of those gray areas a little bit that way. I want to be aggressive. I trust our players. I trust our quarterback, and I felt good about it. Obviously it didn't work out.
And this secondly on that, and then I'll be out. Obviously, I think there was 3 plays in a row where you passed. You had 2 yards to go. Is this a reflection, Sean, the play calls that were made, that you just don't quite have the confidence you need to have in your run game to pound that one out?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's an area I can do a better job in there. And we had a couple of those sequences in the second half that we could have, I could have done a better job with putting us in a better position there.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hi, Sean. Just taking a look at, I want to just talk about Josh a little bit more and the decision-making issues. Can you maybe get into that a little bit? I mean, it seems like he's forcing the ball in certain situations, and we all know about his arm strength and what he's able to do with it. But I feel like, from where I sit anyway, like he's exposing it to too much risk, and making some of those throws that's leading to some of these interceptions. Is that fair? And how do you see it?
Well, I mean, I think there's more than just one reason for it, Adam. And I think it's it's decision making, right? But it's why are we making the decisions that we're making in this case? And Josh is a very confident player, confident in his own abilities, confident in the guys around them. And sometimes you just gotta, instead of pressing, you gotta let the game come to you a little bit and take what the defense gives you at times. So and then we've got to put him in the position to do that from time to time as well. So it's not just one specific thing. It's multiple things there.
Just one follow-up from me then. It kind of speaks to the question that Jay asked you in your response when you talked about some of the factors behind the team's struggles and not being able to perform in the second half. Would you acknowledge that that these are trends over a 3-game period? And does that concern you more?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, when you look at it before that and the research I've done to this point, and had gone back a little bit starting last week, even in the research, and then picked it up today, and still looking at it. I mean, before, during the bye, we were one of the top teams in the second half, both offensively and defensively. So we've obviously done it before, and now we've taken a step back, and now we've got to reassess and make the appropriate adjustments.
All right, Sean, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, I know you touched on injuries some already, but I just wanted to clarify on Josh. Do you anticipate he'll be limited heading into practice this week at all?
Well, we're just one day at a time, Catherine. He came out of the game in a good spot, so we'll just see where he goes this week.
And so during the game when he was down on the field after that first interception for a bit, was that injury related or frustration?
I think a little bit of both. It had nothing to do with his elbow, though.
Okay, so but still somewhat injury.
He just got landed on. And needed a second to gather himself a little bit there.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Josh Reed here. Thanks for taking some time this afternoon. When you look statistically, when you look at it, it looks like the secondary got beat up pretty good against, obviously Justin Jefferson, one of the best, receivers in the league. But when you go back and watch it, to me, it seems like there's some good things to take away, including Damar Hamlin and Christian Benford. How did you see those guys play? And Cam Lewis, who, was stuck in a spot where, he's making his first, appearance at safety there.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to lose a game, right? But when you look at the tape and you're saying, hey, there was a lot of good football that was played yesterday in all three phases. And those are things we can build on. Some of the young players that you mentioned, Cam, I know he had the play that he wanted to knock it down. And then Christian had a couple plays that he wants back. And that's the course of a game. And it just so happened yesterday that a couple of those plays really, really hurt us. But the experience those young players are getting is going to serve them well and us well, hopefully down the road. And this is all part of the journey. And you hope, you can build some true resiliency going through it that creates an opportunity for us to have some of these players and have in the depth of our roster with the experience they need.
Was there any consideration or thought of when you're pinned back there on the goal line about a safety doesn't kill you at that point?
Yeah, we definitely was going through my mind. You're right, it doesn't kill you, and you don't want it at that point really, because if you got to punt the ball back, then they can beat you there. So there's other score differentials at that point where you're saying, hey, it's a little more appealing than the score we had in front of us there at that time.
Gotcha. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, heading into last week, you guys have been plus in the turnover differential all season. This week is the first time you guys have dipped. Oops, sorry. Can you just explain why it's so important to be in the plus in the turnover margin?
Yeah, if you look at that, that's a stat we talk about a lot as a team, and it's a stat that's it doesn't change every year. I mean, the game changes a little bit, and some stats ebb and flow in terms of what really drives winning. And but that's a stat that doesn't change every year. You pull it up, it has a direct impact on winning or losing games. And that's what makes it so frustrating is, like I mentioned to Josh's question a few minutes ago, there was a lot of good football that we played yesterday. And but when you're turning the ball over, you turn the ball over 4 times, you make it awfully hard and almost erases everything else that we did in terms of the score there. So, we've got to get that fixed.
And then in terms of the good that happened in yesterday's game and has happened this season, how impressed have you been just with the defense's ability to take the ball away? They lead the NFL right now with 13 interceptions, with a lot of players who don't have a lot of starting experience under their belt.
Yeah, I think that's something, you don't hear a lot about. The defense has done a really good job of staying the course, and some of those young guys getting valuable experience, stepping up, making big plays. That was fun to watch yesterday, and it's been happening most of the season. That's something we have to continue with, as well as our fundamentals.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Coach Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mookie.
Well, I mean, yesterday was a tough one, but that first half, Coach, to me, I think that was some great football. That first half, that was probably like the most complete I've seen the team play this year. You know, in that first half. Second half, it was just to tell the two halves. You know, just not running the ball. You know, and it is going down to December, and you know, with the run game, not stopping the run at times, not be able to run at times yourself to close out the games in crucial moments. What do you think is the antidote now after you didn't watch film?
Well, you got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. I think yesterday on the offensive side, we had some runs dialed up. We got some negative runs and put you behind the chains, put you off schedule, and all of a sudden you got a second and long situation on your hands. And sometimes we were able to overcome it, and sometimes we weren't, and ended up punting the ball back. And also those are situations that lead to turnovers. Usually when you're off schedule, when you're having to throw it in one-dimensional situations. And on the defensive side, I thought we did a pretty good job for the most part, most of the day on the run game, and a talented running back and Cook. Obviously, the one got out, and that's the one that breaks your back. That was a big play in the game, and that's an area we can do a better job with our execution.
No doubt. And on the defensive side, on that 4th and 18, does it kind of like put you in a sense of the Kansas City playoff game with just ad-libbing or just taking away Jefferson, making Kirk Cousins go somewhere else with the football?
Yeah, I mean, you want to do that, and then you're saying, hey, how does you're looking at all the matchups. If you double him, what's open on the other side, or what's the matchup on the other side? So you're always looking at matchups, always looking at situations and how the rush can complement the coverage. And at the end of the day, we were in a position to win that situation, and I have full confidence in Cam Lewis. The next time he's in that situation, he'll win it.
Absolutely, Coach. Hey, you already know. Back to the drawing board. Let's get it done this week, Coach.
Right. Thanks, Mookie.
Hey, Sean, I wanted to ask some about running backs too, just to start. What did you see out of Duke Johnson yesterday?
Well, he had limited touches on his offensive plays. He did a good job, I thought, returning. Had the one where probably on the knuckleball kick, probably should have let it go in the end zone, but I thought he gave us a little bit of momentum shift in his second kickoff return after they scored. So I thought he did some good things, and he's a good football player.
And then just the decision to have so many running backs active, and Reggie obviously too, was that, some of knowing what Josh was like going into the game? Was that based off the Vikings? Just what was the decision on that end?
Yeah, just overall looking at players, looking at our roster, seeing who can help us, seeing who can help us most down the stretch. And as was alluded to earlier, the weather's going to change, and so we've got to make sure that we have an ability to run the football and a physical component to our offense.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I'm actually going to keep the running back train rolling here with the questions, but Nyheim Hines, very limited action, at least offensively. Realistically, what is the timeline to get somebody kind of immersed in the offense and get them to start contribute? Is it taking longer than expected? Or I guess it's just a little surprising from my end why he hasn't been out there more, at least offensively.
Yeah, it does take some time. Nyheim's done a really good job of working at it, and he's picked it up. He's picked up a lot of it. It's just opportunities, and I'm sure over time that he'll continue to get more and more comfortable, and his playing time will increase with that. So it's hard to go from 0 to this right away, but it is our intention to have him involved in the game plan.
Cool. Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
That's all for today. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks, guys.